The terrorists just threw me into the trunk of the car and we started to drive to Gaza. I was kept alone in solitary condition for 34 days. Not a lot of food. They also denied me from getting enough water.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of The Western Spirit. Today we're going to talk about something that might be uncomfortable, might not be, we'll see. So today with us we have Tal Shoham. Tal was kidnapped by Hamas terrorists on October 7th. 2023. It seems so long ago at this point. Yeah. And at the same time, his wife and two little children were kidnapped separately, but also on that same day. And Tal, we're going to talk to Tal about what happened on that day, what happened in captivity, and what is happening now to the hostages still in captivity, and I guess what we can do about it, and just a little bit about, I guess, the fact that the world seems to be like not even talking about it, and we need to put it up on the front pages of everywhere. And so let's just start the conversation. Tal, it's amazing to speak with you.
Yeah, thank you for having me here.
For sure. And Tal, let's talk about, first of all, who you are and what happened on October 7th. So you used to live down south where you were and then kidnapped. You guys, as I read a little bit towards our conversation, moved out of the area. One of the main reasons, as you told in other interviews, was to try to get away from all of this fighting and warfare and sirens and all this kind of stuff, to try to get your kids to grow up in a little bit of a quieter environment. But a lot of your family stayed there, and you were coming in for the holidays. It was Simchat Torah, the Jewish holiday. And so that's why you were there. You just happened to be there that day with your family, right?
Yeah, so we came as we always did for a long weekend in the kibbutz and the surrounded kibbutzes, and we decided to celebrate the Simchat Torah with my parents-in-law. And on October 7th, we woke up in the morning by my father-in-law that was murdered on that day. He woke us up, you can say intensely, because he started to receive messages about the missile attacks all around us. Although in Be'eri there wasn't still alarm. So every one of us, with an instinct that was developed many years before, pick up one of the child. I pick up my older son, which was 8 years old, Naveh, and Adi, my wife, took Yahel, which was 3 years old, and we ran to the first floor, to the safe room.
The mamad, what's called
the mamad,
in Hebrew.
Yeah. We entered, we waited like everyone else, 10 minutes, and then we went out to start our day. We were in our pajamas. But soon after, we discovered that there is a breach, or terrorists infiltrated into the kibbutz. At the beginning, I thought that it's only like a small unit, like they do from every few months, and the IDF will take care of it. But unfortunately, it started to develop really quickly, and I started to hear voices speaking Arabic, laughing, feeling really comfortable around us. I could not understand how can it be that they're feeling so comfortable and just laughing and shouting and screaming. But it was our reality in that point.
At what time during the day was this? Because the attack on October 7th started at 6:29 a.m. So I guess that's when your father-in-law is waking you guys up. Come to the safe room. You guys go to the safe room. The prerogative by the Israeli military is to stay there for 10 minutes, and then you can leave if there's no more sirens. So you thought you can leave. You guys go out, and then how much longer you start realizing, no, this is a totally different situation?
So it was probably at 7:30 or 8 o'clock. Our phones were in the charger, so we didn't took them with us to the safe room. We thought that we'll be there a few minutes, maybe a little bit more. So it was probably 7:30 to 8. They started. They tried to enter the house, and eventually they succeeded. When the first terrorist entered, he broke glasses on the floor. So I realized that he knows that we are barefoot. We just woke up, and they have no intention that we will leave this place. After he tried to open the door without success, he installed explosive on the door.
On the safe room?
On the safe room door. He installed explosives on the door and blow it up. It's almost killed me. It's the screw pins of the handle just went into the room as bullets, and one of them just scratched me in my belly. So if I was standing 5 centimeters to the left, I wouldn't be here today. And he didn't, even then, he didn't manage to open the door. So they came from outside with a shovel, with a tractor, and started to break the iron window frame. And after a while, they succeeded. The tractor went away, and 5 terrorists just stood there gazing me, and their leader just took his Kalashnikov and started to fire on the bulletproof window. Now I knew in that point that the window can hold few bullets before it will break apart, and I understood that in that moment we will need to surrender because it will be game over for us. We were 8 people in the safe room, my wife, my 2 little children, my parents-in-law, and my wife, aunt, and her daughter. And they actually breached a 10 or 15 centimeters hole in the window. And I understood that after that, they can just throw grenades inside and put their Kalashnikov inside and shoot everyone. So I raised my hands to signal that I'm surrendering. Only when I came back after 505 days in captivity, I discovered that this decision saved our lives, because everyone in that neighborhood, without exception, were murdered the same way. They didn't open the window, and the terrorists just threw grenades into the rooms and shot everyone. So we are the only survivors in that in that neighborhood. So they called us, called my father-in-law of Shalom to open the window, and he did. And then because they spoke with me, they called me first to the window. I told them that there are children in the room. They asked how many. I said 6. I included the women with the children. I thought that it might help them. And then they said okay, and they pulled me out. They took me to a car that they brought from Gaza. And what I saw was a total shock for me. Just dozens of terrorists standing in line in both sides of the road, not doing anything, just laughing. Some of them are filming me with their phones. And I thought to myself, how can it be? What is going on here? Where is the IDF? I mean, how can it be that there is no resistance whatsoever? I mean, nothing. But I didn't have enough time to think about it. They took me to the car. I saw 2 bodies on my right that were executed with a bullet to the head. I mean, it's not that they tried to run or something. They've been caught and were executed. And then the terrorists just threw me into the trunk of the car, and we started to drive to Gaza.
So you're in the trunk of the car, dark, and you're driving. I assume you assumed you're going to Gaza, and you see these 2 people shot in the head right outside, and your entire family is left behind in the shelter because you were the first one pulled out. So as you're driving into Gaza, can you it's probably very difficult, but can you take us back to what you were thinking in your head about what is going to happen to your family? Because you don't know. They could be put in another car and not, God forbid, anything bad to happen to them in terms of their
Yeah.
lives being taken, but you saw those two people with their heads blown off in the street. So what were you
Yeah.
thinking at that point?
So on that point, I could not think about anything else except what's the next move and what will happen. I didn't understand yet that there are so many hostages that will be taken. So I was really afraid that the IDF will try to bomb the car from air. This is one of the procedures to prevent hostage taken in the military,
Yeah.
not civilians, but and the idea of getting burned in a small place in the trunk was really terrifying. I thought about the fact that they didn't kill me, so they probably are taking me into Gaza, and like Gilad Shalit, the former hostage, I will be there 5-6 years. I thought about trying to escape. I knew from action movies that you can open the trunk from inside, and I try to realize what will happen after I will jump. And I understood that it's not a real option, because I will like turn over on the ground, and then if I would try to run, it's like flat fields, and Kalashnikov have a range of
You'd be
300
easy
meters.
target.
Yeah, so I will be a really easy target. So all of those thoughts are going in my mind when we are on the way to Gaza. And in the middle of the way, the hostages that were in front.
Oh, there was other hostages in the car with you.
Yeah.
So that's why they put you in the back, because there was no room already in the car.
Exactly.
Aha.
They were a couple with their little daughter, which
Wow.
was also 3 years old. They tried to escape. I didn't realize it yet then, but the doors were opened, and I heard the shooting outside. And eventually what I discovered is that the husband and the child were able to escape and hide. And the terrorists caught the wife and took her back to the car. So all of this is happening, and I don't know what is going on exactly. I actually opened the trunk to look and see what is going on, and one of the terrorists just came back with his kalach on his shoulder and asked me if everything is okay. I said yeah, and then he just closed it on me, and then we kept driving into
How
Gaza.
long was the drive to Gaza?
Probably between 20 minutes to half an hour.
Okay, so you get to Gaza, and what do they do to you in Gaza? Where do they bring you?
So they drove a few more minutes inside Gaza and then stopped. They took me out of the car, and then the terrorist that pulled me out of the safe room, he jumped on the roof of the car, pointed his Kalashnikov on me, and told me to lay down to my knees.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see that he have murder in his eyes. So I understood that if I will do so, he will just execute me like they did in Be'eri. So I raised my hands again, and I shout to him that I surrendered, and he should not kill me.
In what language do you?
So I really
You don't remember?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah,
But he
think
understood what you were saying.
It can be either Hebrew or Arabic, because I spoke a little bit Arabic then. Speak much better now, but I spoke, and it was so instinctively that I don't remember. So he pointed his Kalashnikov on me and threatened that I should do what he said, but I'm with my hands in the air, and I'm keeping that he should not kill me because I surrendered. And we argued like that for half a minute until the other terrorists came, took me in the shoulders, and we started to walk in the street of Gaza. It was clear that they don't know where they are going to. They searched places to hide us. But soon after, a few minutes after, came an officer, a police officer on a bike, a motorbike, and they just put me on the bike and started a parade in the main streets of Gaza.
And people were in this parade. There was cheers, citizens.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone was cheering and happy, and some of them tried to reach me with sticks and fists. And I was lucky that the driver didn't stay enough time in every location, so they didn't reach me. But my legs were like burned from the
Exhaust
exhaustion pipe. Yeah, because I was barefoot.
So let me just, one thing that I want to just stop here is that we keep on hearing that there is Hamas is like a different entity from the regular Gazans. On your experience, especially on that first few days when there was like a euphoria in Gaza, when you were being paraded, did you see any like, did you feel anyone was like maybe a little bit hesitant? We're taking hostages. These are regular citizens, babies, fathers of babies, mothers. How did you feel? I mean, we don't know, but like, what was the feeling of like not the Hamas people in Gaza? Because you were meeting them. You're going to tell us where they put you. I assume at some points you were not only with just militant Hamas people. Give us just a little bit of a take of what was it, the regular Gazan that you met throughout this journey in quotation marks that you took.
So I didn't met a lot of them. Eventually I met the people in the street that were really happy and cheering, and I heard from my wife and other hostages that actually saw the way into Gaza, that the second and third waves of Palestinians were civilians that came to loot houses and corpse of dead Israelis. There is a video from Be'eri of an UNRWA member that kidnapping a corpse, bodies of people that were killed on that day. And those are the people we are like fighting against.
Yes. So you're driving. It's going to make a long story short because we want to talk about what's happening today also, and that's one of the reasons why we're speaking. But you're driving in a motorcycle, and we can say thousands, maybe hundreds, thousands of people in. I assume at this point you're in Gaza City, I guess.
I don't know exactly.
Oh, you don't know where you were. In some city in Gaza, and thousands of people are cheering as you are being paraded. And is there like people in horns like saying what's happening? There's like loudspeakers maybe during the parade, or is this just driving through?
No, I mean we drove through. I know for sure that Hamas like planned it secretly, so nobody knew, and nobody was prepared or were prepared before. So it was spontaneous.
They were very happy spontaneously. It wasn't organized, because a lot of times we hear they organize these parades. This was actually people coming to celebrate spontaneously because they felt, wow. So you're driving there by yourself on the motorcycle with this guy.
Between two terrorists.
Two terrorists. So you finished this parade, which
took half an hour,
So I can just imagine, I can't imagine what someone, and I assume at this point when looking back, you can't imagine maybe. What is the feeling of being a sort of piece of meat, a piece of like loot that they took from Israel, and they're all happy? You're the treasure that they stole from the evil Zionists at that point, and you're being paraded around as like a prize. So you do this half-hour thing, which is humiliating, I assume, and scary, and you're all alone, and you get to where at this point?
So eventually a police car came and with the chief of police, as I understood, and they put me inside. They hided me so I could start to relax a little bit, because I knew that the public cannot find me now and just lynch me, do a lynch on me. And they took me to a hidden place. They handcuffed me with the military or police grade handcuffs, which I will be with for the next 34 days, 24/7. And then they just left me in a room.
By yourself? By
myself, yeah. Afterwards came my guards that I will be with them for a few months. But in summarizing it, I was kept alone in solitary condition for 34 days with not a lot of food. Like the food supply started to diminish really quickly. They also like, denied me from getting enough water because it's still hot in October in Gaza. But the thing that hurt me the most was that I don't know what happened to my family, my wife, my children. I tried to make logic out of it, but I could not. So
And you have no one to talk to.
yeah,
Because
exactly.
you're all by yourself.
Yeah.
And then, so the food supplies you said are dwindling. They would give you, what does it mean dwindling? Just to give us a feel on those first, let's say, month in Gaza, 34 days.
So in the first 2 days, they gave me a few pita bread and meat and cheese.
Okay.
They were really happy about what they achieved. But afterwards, it could be like half a bowl of small bowl of avocado, or only an orange
For the whole day.
For the whole day, yeah.
And water, they were giving you how much? Like you said, the water was very low. How much water were you drinking?
So probably half a liter every day.
Okay, so that's the first 34 days you said.
Yeah.
And you're counting every day? This is how you know it? You're counting in your head?
Yeah, I counted. I found also a notebook, so I wrote in it. But after 24 days, we left this apartment to another one, which was more extreme because they didn't let me walk in the room. They were afraid that someone could see me from the windows, although they were blocked. Like, you cannot see anything outside. But so they demanded that I would sit all day long, and I could not think straight. I was alone. I was like with compulsive thoughts about my family. In one point, I decided that I need to do a funeral to them because I cannot hold the idea. I mean, I want to hold hope that they are alive, but to accept in total way the possibility that they also were murdered on that day. So in my mind, in one of the afternoons, I did a funeral to them. I stood in front of a big grave and two small ones.
In your mind?
In my mind, and all my community in our village in the north behind me, and I just gave a eulogy, a whole page for every one of them, saying goodbye and that I'm sorry and I'm freeing them to their next stage, whatever that will be. It was one of the hardest things I did in my life, because I tried really to live it in me, so I can have some peace in myself, in my inner lives. I started to get really, really crazy from being alone.
Yeah.
And on the 34th day came my saviors, two other hostages, Guy Gilboa Dalal and Eviatar David.
Yes. And we will talk about them because they are still in the, right? They're still there.
Unfortunately, yeah, they're still there.
Okay, so that's on the 34th day. Finally, you have people to talk to. You have friends. You have sort of people that are with you in the same boat.
Yeah.
And then there is a point in your story where you get a letter that one of the, maybe tell us, one of the terrorists comes, one of your captors, and like taps you and says, please, if you tell anyone you got this from me, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
And he gives you a letter.
Yeah.
And can you just explain to us what was in that letter?
So just a second before that, immediately when Guy and Eviatar came, they started to starve us really deeply and to the extreme of one small pita bread every day with two small teaspoons of cheese, which is really under 300 calories every day, and that's it for the next 24 hours. And they kept us like that for almost 2 months, I think, until we moved to another place. And
did they explain why? Did you ask Why did suddenly the food dwindle?
So they say that they doesn't have a supply
Uh-huh.
in the place.
And they blamed Israel
But
because of this?
no, it's actually was that the owner of the house didn't want to bring supply. He received money from Hamas and he decided to steal part of it to himself. So it's actually was intentionally logistic failure, you can say.
Because of a bad person that was taking the money.
Yeah.
So it was even worse than your captors, this guy.
Yeah.
Were the captors themselves also eating a little bit?
He was one of them.
Ah.
And he also tortured us in creational ways. I mean, he always tried to find ways to make us suffer. The other guards that lived with us, they weren't allowed to get out of the house because nobody's supposed to know they are there. And they were still terrorists. I mean, one of them was in Be'eri, killed people in Be'eri. The other wasn't, but it doesn't matter. And they were more close to us because we've been together.
They were stuck with you.
Yeah, and from time to time we kind of seduced them to play cards with us because Evyatar and Guy brought playing cards. And we tried to form like relationship with them. And it was with ups and downs, but eventually they were much better than the other guy, which didn't stay enough time in the apartment, so we could not form a relationship with him. So on the 50th day, they came, the officer came at 5 p.m. in the morning with a letter from my wife. He told me that if I will tell anyone, he will kill me. And it was 2-page letter in English where she is describing that they were kidnapped and they were about to be released, and a little bit about their struggle in captivity and how the children managed to find strength in themselves. And it was one of the most important and amazing points in my captivity, because I finally received the information that they are alive and they're about to be released, and I also received the confirmation that they went out of Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
And then I knew that now I need to fight my own battle for
so
survival.
You can see them.
So I can see them, but not only physically, also psychologically and mentally, so my children will have a father to come back to, and my wife will have a husband. So yeah, it was really, really important moment.
So up until that point, like you said, you already in your mind were like, I'm just gonna say they are dead. You even made a like funeral ceremony, in your imagination, so that you can just release it and try to survive yourself.
Yeah.
And like accept that that's probably what happened. And suddenly on the 50th day, which is not too long after you did this whole imaginary funeral and the whole ceremony and everything, you get a letter that says actually they are alive and they will be released to freedom very soon, now.
Yeah.
And then you not only you read this letter where, if I read a little bit about it, and they were saying one of the guards actually who was with them then came to you at some point and he was telling you how your daughter, your cute small 3-year-old daughter at the time, was making fun of the guards and playing with them, and it must have been, I can't even imagine. Like, I have 3 little children, 3 and under, and you went from one like crazy extreme where you're sure they're all dead, to another extreme where not only are they alive, they're going to be released, and they still kept their sense of humor and their cuteness, as you remembered, but you're staying behind. How maybe just for a minute, just
Yeah.
take us behind that emotional roller coaster.
So first, I was really happy to hear that they are alive, and also not only them, but also my mother-in-law and my wife, aunt, and her daughter. They all of them been
Yeah.
together and were released. Unfortunately, I discovered on that day that my father-in-law was murdered on
He was the
Berry.
one that was with you when you opened the window for
Yeah.
them. So they took him out and killed him, executed
They
him.
took him to a different location in the kibbutz and executed him. Yeah.
It's all, by the way, I have to just stop you there. It's just amazing how it's really, in a lot of ways, luck. Like you,
Yeah.
by just chance, they decided to kidnap you and shoot the two people on the road, and they decided to kidnap you and your family and kill your father-in-law, murder your father-in-law. It's all so random. It's so
It
like
is.
it's the same
It
exact. It could have been him surviving and you not surviving. It's also. Do you think about it in retrospect? Like, why me?
You know, it's so painful for me.
For sure.
Few houses away from their house, my parents-in-law house, there is another family with 5 children, and the terrorists just murdered every one of them, and the 2 little children that are in my children age survived because the family piled upon them and they survived
Yes.
underneath. And it seems to be so random and depends on if there is a actually officer in the scene, a terrorist, but an officer
That controls the crazy people under him.
Yeah.
And if they're by themselves, they just do whatever they want, and they could have just started shooting like crazy.
Exactly. Not
Yeah.
only shooting. I mean,
Yeah.
they did ISIS-style
Yes.
things in Be'eri. I don't think that describing it here it's appropriate, but they are really, really evil and awful people.
Yes.
And
They're
even
worse than animals.
ISIS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're staying behind after this emotional roller coaster, and you're staying with the 2 people who you just described, 2 people that start becoming friends of yours because you're so long together. I'm going to fast forward a little bit just because we want to get to this current situation. So you're staying with these people. On the 50th day, you understand that your wife, your children, your mother-in-law, your wife's aunt, I think, and her daughter are being. So your whole family who survived is being released, and you are the last one of your family to stay in Gaza because the way they did it is that they released the women and the children first, and the men are staying behind. We're not going to get into it, whether that was whatever. That's how it was, and you're there with your friends, and you basically, as I understand it from other interviews that you did, you are sort of a support system, one for the other. You become friends. You go through.
We become a family.
Effectively a family, because that's all you had there. You had no cell phones. You had no internet. You had nothing. You only had each other, and you went through a lot of hardships. You moved places. You moved underground, I think, at some point, right? In one of the famous tunnels that everyone talks about. But you actually were there. So, explain to us. Just fast forward, because we don't have an infinite amount of time. When did you start understanding that, because you're there for more than a year and a half, and your wife and family was released 50 days in, so you were a long time there. When did you start gaining hope that maybe you will, even though this is so long, there's light at the end of the tunnel? When did you start thinking about it?
So we've been 8 months above ground, and then all of us were taken underground 20 or 30 meters into a tomb underground, which was blocked from both sides. So it was actually to live a living hell inside the tunnel. The guards were really bad people.
These were different guards than the first ones?
It's different. They keep like different group of guards that nobody will know about the other, and like a departmentized, or how you say it, I don't know the word.
Whatever. They're like keeping each one from each other, so they don't know no one knows what the other one is doing, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And this team of guards also dig tunnels. They didn't they didn't stop digging tunnel for the whole time, the
So
whole
while
war.
they're watching you, they're continuing to like try to dig the tunnel deeper.
Even now, they are still digging tunnels. I mean, speaking about peace or you know or rebuild Gaza, they are rebuilding Gaza underground. Yeah, the military facilities. So it was really tough time there. We met Omer Venkert inside the tunnel, so we become 4 of us, and we were starved. We were
How
beaten.
big was the room in the tunnel? Can you just?
So it's 1 meter wide, which is probably 3
Like
feet
we're
or
here
something.
now, no? More or less.
No, this is a really big room.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's.
And I'll just tell our audience that we're sitting in a pretty small room.
Yeah.
So if this is
really
very big, so 4 people, and the guards weren't in the room. They were in like a separate, nicer, more comfortable,
Yeah, they were
air-conditioned room, right?
in actually room, not a tunnel, and they had supplies that they stole from the humanitarian aid.
You saw this?
No, I didn't saw because they didn't let us see anything outside of the tunnel, but they used to brag that they stole the
They
aid.
really would say, just we stole the aid. It's with us. We have good food. We have good stuff.
For months ahead. I mean, they told us that they had supplies for months and months ahead. They had air conditioning. They had like light and everything that they needed, but they kept us most of the time in the dark with small light bulbs. They actually didn't turn them off even in the night, so it's messed with our
biological system.
Exactly.
Can I ask one like uncomfortable question? Bathrooms and stuff. What would you?
We
do?
had a hole in the ground that we actually needed to dig for ourselves, and this is it. I mean, 12 meter long tunnel, 4 men with mattresses on the ground, only concrete walls and sand, and a hole in the ground served as a toilet.
So how long were you there? From 8 months until
8.5 months. Yeah.
So how long were you underground? For another 8.5 months?
Yeah.
So you didn't see sun for at least 8.5 months.
Yeah.
And the only light you saw was the small light bulbs. So and you probably lost tons of weight. Like your whole body became.
Yeah,
right?
I lost 27 kilos in almost 30 kilos in Gaza.
So you came out like
So
a
it's
much
probably
smaller.
60 pounds, I think.
Within 8 months. And so you start, so 8 months passes there. When did they start talking to you about that you might be released?
So I started to see a shift in their behavior, like they are more optimistic on the probably end of November 2024. But on January, one of them actually came and whispered to us. He really liked Omer, so he came and tell him that we are about to be released soon, that there is a deal, and we will be on the end of this deal, Omer and me. So it was really stressful month because we waited for official notice. And we also understood that we will need to separate from Guy and Eviatar and to.
They understood this too?
Yeah, of course. In one side, they were happy that we can tell their families about them, that they are alive and what happened to them since October 7th. But in the other hand, they will stay alone in the tunnel. So it was really emotional roller coaster. We also were a little bit happy that we thought that they will receive at least twice the amount of food that we receive, because now
it's 2 instead of 4.
Exactly. In only 2 months ago, when Hamas released Eviatar's video, when he's looking like a Holocaust survivor. I understood that they intentionally starved him, almost for death. So it was really hard to see and to know about it. So the months of January to February just went by, and they took us out of tunnel. It was the first time I breathed like fresh air after 8.5 months underground. It was such an amazing experience. We had a few more days in Gaza of total craziness and insanity. They took us to another tunnel, which was like much worse than the tunnel they kept us in.
Why? Because it was smaller.
It was smaller and dirtier and with garbage all around and cockroaches and things like that. And I could not understand how can it be that in 3 days we're supposed to be released and they at least they don't take us to like an apartment or because there is no war. I mean, there is a ceasefire. So they don't need to afraid that the IDF will find us or something like that. But they kept us like in a worse.
It was their choice.
Place.
They didn't like they had a choice at this point, and they decided they had a choice the whole time. But there was no excuse.
Yeah.
So they took it to even worse, disgusting place, which was unsanitary and did they Okay, just give us the last question. So after those 3 days that are disgusting and they're torture, it's torture to put someone into like such a place.
Yeah, exactly.
So the 3 days pass.
And they separated between me and Omar and the rest of the hostages that been together. Eventually I understood that those 3 were 23 years old and they wanted to release them as soldiers.
Right.
But I'm 40 years old and I cannot fit this narrative, so they took me to Rafah to be released with Mengistu, which is...
He was there for a long time.
Yeah, and it's also his mental health is not quite good, and this is part of the reason.
They drove you in the car to Rafah, and then on that day that you were supposed to be released, you were taken... Was there a ceremony like they did with the other ones?
Yeah.
How was that?
So... In the morning, they took me to a location with more than 100 terrorists. All of them are full armed and with their black mask and clothes. But I knew in that moment that it's all propaganda. I mean, nobody will hurt me here. They walk me in the street of Rafah, filming like the destruction the IDF did and giving me chocolates and coca drinks and so on. Just for again to
video
to
it.
The video, And after a while, we went into the ceremony place, to the stage. They asked me to say some words about Hamas. That Hamas treated me really good and gave me food and water.
They told you what to say?
Yeah, of course. And of course I will comply because I
just want to get out of there.
Yeah. So we've been there for an hour and then just went into the ICRC vehicle and from there to
the Red Cross.
The Red Cross.
And then the Red Cross took you to the Israeli side. The army meets you. And then for the first time, I guess, on the phone, someone gives you a phone to speak with your family, right?
Not exactly. They took me into the military base. I received a good shower because it's the first time I showered after a really long time. And something to eat. I mean, I was in such a craving to vegetables because I didn't eat anything for over a year. And then my family came and
they came to you.
Yeah, they came to me.
And you meet your children and wife for the first time.
It was such a beautiful and amazing moment. I mean, they didn't know how I will be released because 2 weeks before, Eli Sharabi, Yoad Ben Ami,
That looked like skeletons, truly skeletons.
So afterwards, after that moment, Hamas started to give us more food because they understood that it's
PR.
Yeah, that doesn't work to them. So my family didn't know how I will look like. So my son just came and ran into my arms, was screaming. I mean, he could not hold his emotions
He
inside.
was 9 at the time, right? Because he was captive. At 8, he was
9.5.
already probably 9.5 plus.
Yeah. And Yahel, my daughter, which was 5 years old already, she didn't engage. I mean, she didn't come to me because she was afraid that she will hurt me. So it took a few hours just to hold her hand and slowly, step by step, to start to get closer and closer. But anyway, it was such a amazing moment. And then my parents came, and my brother and sister, and all of the rest of the family.
Wow. So from there, you basically start your life over at that point.
Yeah.
You are in the hospital, I guess, for a few days. They want to check you're okay. You were, I assume, very malnourished.
Yeah. I actually suffered from scurvy, which is a extreme vitamin C deficiency. It's unheard of in Western cultures
Yes.
for 200 years, but
Oh.
because they gave us only like plain carbs without any nutrition value, Viatar and me, we developed scurvy, and I was really hurt in my legs. Yeah.
Uh-huh. But you were treated.
Yeah.
Now you're physically. You're. It looks like
Yeah.
you're fine.
Thank God, I'm fully recovered physically. And
Thank God. I assume mentally you are being, like, wasn't captive, and I need a lot of help
I'm
psychologically.
doing okay, but of course I'm under treatment, and part
Yes.
of me is still in Gaza after all.
Of course.
Eviatar and Guy.
So let's just talk about them for 1 minute.
Yeah.
These are the two people, as you guys heard, that were with Tal throughout pretty much since day 34 up until you were released. They were with you. They were your family. They were the people you spoke with, the people you ate with, the people you were in the bathroom with. Everything was done with these people, and you guys two so you left them behind.
Yeah.
Not you left them. They were left behind by Hamas, and they are still there. We saw not too long ago the video, like you mentioned, which is horrible. It's something that no human should be going through, whether he's an enemy of them or not. They should not be. It's like unbelievable to me, especially with the fact that we were as international, people who consume international media. We were told for months now that there's famine in Gaza, that there's all this, and then the only person that I saw that didn't have a pre-existing condition and was actually starving in a way that is like you said, is like life-threatening, immediate life-threatening, was the hostages. So we saw the picture of the baby in the New York Times. He had a pre-existing condition which would make him look that way probably without any war or anything. Even if he was in Israel, we saw another baby that was taken to Italy to be treated. The only people that we saw that are starving to death, I hope they don't starve to death, but there's a good chance
hope they don't.
Were the people that were with you in those tunnels. And the world doesn't seem to even care. The New York Post, which to their great credit put him on their front page and forced, my father lives in New York, and that's his hometown newspaper, makes me very proud. That's a newspaper that I read. But places like the New York Times, the Washington Post, a lot of the TV in the world that no one spoke about it.
Yeah.
How did it make you feel?
Before that, it's really important to say that Gazians are suffering in Gaza. I'm saying it time after time again that on October 7th, Hamas didn't only took Israelis hostages, they took the whole of Gaza Strip as a hostage. And, the UN published a report that 84% of the humanitarian aid was stolen by terrorists, not only Hamas, but also the Islamic Jihad and other tanks or thieves. So there is suffering inside Gaza, and I think that nobody should suffer that way. But
and
Hamas,
we can say that Hamas can end it today, release all the hostages, say that's it, we want to have enough, let's give the Gazans a better future, Israelis a better future. It could have ended a long time ago, could have ended and it's sad for the Gazans, and they are suffering, a lot of them. But I also have to say that the people who are really suffering, the people who were underground for 8 months, and now way more. We're almost hitting 2 years. We're about to hit.
Yeah.
These people for 2 years at this point, pretty much, have been underground with no sunlight, with no nutrition, with
Yeah.
no dignity to even to go to the bathroom in privacy,
Yeah.
with no, medication going to them. Because I remember while you were being in captivity, there's a whole discussion about whether Hamas would agree that the Red Cross would give medications for hostages who needed it.
Yeah.
And they never agreed to it.
You know that in that point they wrote their own needs
Yes.
and their family needs, and they received medical drugs and so on
Instead of the hostages.
instead of the hostages.
Yes, makes sense.
Eviatar, since October 7, one of the terrorists broke his glasses, and he didn't receive anything. He practically is blind now because he cannot see for the distance, and he's in this tunnel, probably alone now because they took a guy out of the tunnel. In another video they published. So yeah, the hostages are in really, really bad shape. I really hope that they are still alive, but as Eviatar seems to be, with scurvy and so bad shape, I don't know if he survived it until now.
Yeah.
I really hope so. But when Hamas decided intentionally and really sadistically to starve them, and they say in this video that they are doing it because there is no food, but the hand that giving the food to
looks
Eviatar,
very fat.
really fat.
Yes.
And they actually told us that they have supplies, so it's a nonsense and just psychological warfare.
Yes. Yeah. So, and you have been going since you started, I guess, getting stronger. You've been going all over the world to speak about this. I think you met the president of the United States. Is that true?
No, unfortunately,
There was a mission that went.
Yeah,
right?
I was in the White House. I met Mr. Witkoff and the chief of staff and
Susie
other
Wiles.
Yeah, and other officials, but I could not meet Trump on that occasion. So.
But if from your encounters with his chief of staff, who's very close to him, obviously Witkoff, who's his friend even before, that's how he became the envoy to the hostages, and he's also in the Ukraine, but he's also here through being friendly with Trump, and I assume you've met other people that are close. What do you think that he's very invested in getting the hostages out just in general? He has a sort of, he feels for you, right? Is that the general feeling that you felt when you spoke to them about what the president thinks?
Mr. Witkoff, you mean? Yeah.
No, I mean the president. When Witkoff talks about what the president thinks.
So it seems that the president, Mr. Trump, is really trying to end it, but he's going between constructing a deal to force Hamas to surrender. And Eviatar's brother was there now. I mean,
at the White House?
At the White House, and he met Mr. Trump, and he actually asked them if it's better to free them in a deal or by force.
Mm-hmm.
And of course that in a deal it's much, much better because their survival opportunity or rate will be much higher. It's really hard to rescue them because Hamas will just kill them on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, on the last video that the guy was in, that Hamas published, he says implicitly that they will use them as a human shield against the IDF.
Yes.
Okay? So if we want the 20 hostages that are still alive to stay alive, we must finish it in a deal with Hamas. It needs to include Hamas disarming and getting out of the government.
Yes.
Because I recognize and we know that Israel need its defense
so that this doesn't happen
that
again.
It won't happen again, yes.
Yeah.
But still, a deal need to be constructed.
I want to just ask you another few. So let's just understand that again. There's 20 people. We hope again. We don't know.
We don't know for sure.
We don't know for sure about every single one of them. I also saw that, just remind me the names, in the last video that they did of him, forgot, remember, I'm not good at names just in general, but
Guy and Alon?
that he drives somewhere he goes in the tunnel, then he meets Alon, I think.
It was in a car. I mean,
Yeah,
they
he
took
meets
him
so
out.
Alon wasn't with you all this time.
No.
But we know that Alon, for example, has some eye disease,
Yeah.
and the mother says that they're able to understand through the video that he can't see at least in one of his eyes, which makes me very sympathetic because I can't see in both of my eyes pretty much.
Yeah.
And so it was like, wow, like because he came to this situation because Hamas didn't allow treatment or even medication. I don't remember the exact eye disease, but it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. And so you have people that because they're not getting just basic medicine, eye drops, treatments
Yeah.
are becoming basically losing their abilities that even if they get out, he won't be able to see in that eye again. And who knows about the other eye.
Yeah.
And so we just have to put on the table the 20 people are alive. I mean, about the bodies, we can talk about what is the significance, how urgent it is, whatever. But for 20 live people, that is urgent. And the fact that they're being kept as tools in order to like pull this out longer and just torture these, it's obviously to torture them, but they are being tortured in order to torture us as Israelis.
Yeah.
Because, so that's my guess, my next question is, did you see how they make these videos? Were you taking videos of you talking to...
So they also took videos of me and of us together. They didn't publish them.
Yeah.
In those videos, they tell you what to say, or they're directing you to say things. So for example, in one of those, they put a camera in the tunnel, and they say to us that if we will be really emotional, and it will be good, they will publish it, and if not, nobody will know that we are there.
They made you cry? Do you like had to like cry and like be emotional?
Yeah.
Like a movie scene, like they were just, okay, now cry, and the camera's in front of your face.
Yeah, so they didn't direct us so like
Right.
specifically, but they told us what they want us to speak about.
What were they saying? Speak about release us and like stop the war.
To speak badly on the government and on our prime minister and
they really told you like say that he's say bad things about him in order so that I guess try to get people.
Yeah, it's part of the propaganda.
Psychological warfare sort of thing.
Exactly. Now, one of our problems as Jews is that we probably in our genetics, in our DNA, we are not leaving anyone behind.
Yeah.
And I know that in the United States, it's really hard for people to understand it. And Hamas is using it against us, but this is not only a weakness, it's also part of our strength. Because then we gather together, and as a unit, we are much stronger. And I think that it's really important. You spoke about it a second ago about the living and the dead, the deceased. As long as there are living hostages inside, it's really important that we will first do everything in our power, and Israel should do anything in her power to release them. And afterwards, also to take care of the deaths, because they need to be buried in Israel and to have like appropriate funeral, and the families need to have a closure to it.
Yeah,
I know that it's hard to understand, but this is part of our not only religion but also culture and deeply in our lives, and we need to take care of everyone that is left there. But first the living, because they still have the chance to have a life again
for sure.
Afterwards.
Lastly, I guess one question that just came to mind as you were speaking is, again, you go all over the world. So the way I got to you was from someone who knows you, who knows you from the world, so to speak, not in Hebrew and English, and then we spoke in Hebrew, whatever.
Yeah.
when you go to places and countries that are more, I would say, anti-Israel in the way they look at things. So like
Most of the places.
yes,
Yeah.
at this point, well, even before, but at this point, even more. And have you, let's say, gone on TV and done interviews where they ask you questions where you're like, I'm just a person a citizen who was taken hostage. Why are you asking me about our military strategy and why we're killing
Yeah.
civilians, and quote unquote? How do you explain the fact? I can't even imagine if a Gazan who was taken, I don't know, his family was killed tragically, and he goes to Europe, and then he's being interviewed, and someone says to him, "Why did you not fight against Hamas or criticize Hamas?" It's just something that you would never ask someone like that, and you shouldn't.
Yeah.
If someone's a citizen of a country, whether you don't like or do like their policy, you shouldn't ask. I forgot who was the parents of the girl, the Irish girl. She was released, and her father was, or before she was released, the father was on NBC, I think it was, and she's like, "Do you empathize with the people who protest against Israel?" Like,
Yeah.
how do you react to these types of questions, and what do you think is the reason why they're being asked to you?
So I need to say honestly that that most of the interviews that I did were really like the interviewers were compassionate and were like being careful.
Human. We're being human to you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very difficult to be human these days.
But also, I can recognize the puzzling or the hard time or that they don't find a logic in their sense of what is happening. And I think that people need to understand in the world that reason and truth matters. And we are fighting against a malicious and evil terror organization that implicitly says that its first objective is to annihilate every Jew in Israel. And if they succeeded on October 7th together with Hezbollah in Iran, probably Israel won't be anymore. I mean, fortunately for us, they didn't coordinate it good enough.
It's almost a miracle, the fact that they were so uncoordinated.
It actually is. And Israel decided that it can no longer allow those terrorist cells and organizations to grow up near us and do it again.
Yeah. Tal, can I ask you, sorry, I just want to, lastly, when you look now back, you live now with your family, thank God, with all that you guys went through, with all that happened in the past 2 years and continues happening because some of you are still there, the people who were with you, with all that you see all over the world, this hatred, do you look at, just lastly, are you angry when you look back? Are you mad at people? Are you angry at the government? Not at the government, at the country that you live. I guess the government is, okay, whatever. There'll be elections here and there. We'll see. I really do hope that the people who are responsible will be switched out of office and we can maybe start healing in terms of our politics. But I think more, just as a country, as Zionism is supposed to be a homeland for the Jewish people where they don't go through these things, where they do survive and strive and are able to defend themselves. And the army you said in the beginning, wasn't there.
Yeah.
And are you angry? Are you resentful of just everything that happened?
So the short answer is no. But actually, in after you survive such a thing and go through such a tremendous suffer and pain, you revalue life and you reappreciate life. And I don't want to allow a place in me to anger and rage and things of that nature, because I want to appreciate life and to celebrate life. Of course, with the struggle that there are still
Yeah.
hostages inside, and to do everything that I can to assist them and help them and to speak about it. But in the end, I think that life is much more than small politics or about mistakes of others and so on. I mean, there are other people that will take care of it, but
Yeah.
I have a beautiful family and a really good life that I want to rebuild for the sake of others and, for humanity, and to do good in the world. And it's much more important than to go to what was or what happened and to try to struggle with it.
I envy you in a way, which is weird, because I cannot stop being angry at little things. So, but maybe it gives you a perspective when you're.
It is.
I mean,
Yeah.
I will just say, not comparison to anything, but we spoke about 5 years ago that I lost my eyesight, and it was really a choice. I mean, we did a WhatsApp group of people who are blind and are visually impaired
Yeah.
in the country here, and you have two types of reactions, and I assume this is true for on a more like like a stronger way with people who come back from being captive, is that you can on the one hand say, this is what has befallen me, and from here I'm going to do everything I can to be stronger, to build my life, for me to get married and have children and and continue working in a job that you supposed to need your eyesight, being an editor of a newspaper that you can't see. But or you can, and a lot of people have taken this option of just quitting your job, sitting at home, living on the benefits of the government, and just letting your life slip by. And it's really a choice. And I think you, in everything you said, you have made the choice. You have a family, you have reason to live for, you want them to have a father. You said in the beginning that when you knew that they were alive, you needed to be there for them. Sane, not just physical, but in your mind. And that's something that I think a lot of people can take in their small world and their small problems also. You have a choice.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate the choice that you made. It's something that's so not like, and it's not, it shouldn't be taken for granted. So you're an inspiration in a lot of ways. And I know that you're fighting for your friends, and it's something that we all should be fighting for. And they are being tortured as we speak. And
Unfortunately.
So we need to, first of all, if you can't do anything politically, just pray for them. And obviously, if you can have any political pressure in any way, do it on your local, if you're American, so on your local congressman and your senator, and even all the way up to the president as much as possible. And obviously, if you're in a European country, whatever you can do. And
you know, as a final word, even if you don't agree or doesn't agree with what our government is doing, to make Hamas stronger will just make the war longer and
prolong
all of the people suffering. So the right thing is to do is to put pressure on the mediators, on Qatar, Egypt, on Turkey, to give the hostages humanitarian aid as every Gazian needs and now gets, and to put pressure on Hamas to disarm and to finish it, so everyone can start to rebuild their lives in Gaza and
in Israel.
And in Israel, yeah.
Tal Shoham, was a true pleasure to speak with you and to learn from your experiences and to learn how to put things in perspective for us all. And I hope everyone that watches this in their first of all, obviously does all the stuff that we said to try to bring about a quick end to everything that's happening and a release of all the hostages and starting a better future for everyone in this region. But also on your personal lives, learn from Tal. I think it's just, again, I'll say, it's just understand that you have a choice. And the choice is for your sanity and your future. You don't want to just live life and just be depressed all day. And Tal, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure.
It is.